her. So
absolutely.
Before we really get started with the bulk of the show, wanted to talk about something kind of serious. Usually I'm joking and laughing and quite sarcastic. But I wanted to address what everybody is talking about. And about George Floyd and all of the craziness that's going on around that. And what happened to him is just unbelievably sad, shouldn't have happened, and we all need to do what we can do in order to make changes. And we're thinking of you, we are praying for each and every one of you, for whatever you may need, in whatever situation you're in. So just wanted to make sure that we address that tonight.
Yes. And I'd like just to add that, it all starts at home. So,
it is. Yeah.
If, at home, making sure that you share things with your kids, that you keep things open and look at the circle of friends you have around you. If they all look exactly like you, you may need to, look again at your circle of friends and add new friends in there and be open to that. So definitely do that. For sure.
Yeah, because everybody's got a story, y'all. And it's not just the people who look like you and act like you. Everybody's got a story, and we need to be listening to everybody's stories and make those connections. So, so there's the serious moment of the night.
And moving on from the serious moment, although it still will bring tears to Tammy's eyes, her daughter is graduating in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Her baby.
My baby. My youngest, she's already 18. She graduates high school in 2 weeks and will be headed off to the University of North Iowa in like 86 days or something like that. I don't know. I got an app. It tells me. It's sad. I mean, I'm happy for her, and I'm happy for this new phase of life that my husband and I are going into. And we won't be truly empty nesters because we do have our older daughter who has some special needs at home with us, which is totally cool. But it's going to be quite different and weird, and I think I'm going to need a bunch of wine to get through it.
Tammy's gonna need some hugs. And 2 days after Tammy's youngest graduates, my youngest turns 2. So I'm obviously in a different season of life than Tammy, but so that's just crazy.
He's so cute. He's so cute.
He's got little curls, and he's adorable. Absolutely adorable. So before we introduce our guest, who I'm so excited for, we do want to let you know that tonight's episode is sponsored by Swanwick, and you can get your own Swannies to help protect your eyeballs while you're working, because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. We work like 24/7.
All the time.
All the time. So you can go to businessandlearning.com/Swannies, and if you use BizLearn at checkout, you will save 10%. So definitely check those out. You need your Swannies. They will change your life. They will help you sleep. It will help you during the day to not have eye strain. So definitely want to check those out.
Awesome.
And now we've got to introduce our amazing guest, who I'm so super excited. I alluded last week about my favorite chicken lady being on, and she is here. I absolutely adore her. This is Cari Thompson, and she is the COO of Code Red Lifestyle. And I first learned about Cari and her sister Cristy about a year ago, I think, and was at a place where I needed change. I was done with it. I actually had someone ask me when the baby was due. I had already had him. He was
not cool, people.
Not good.
Not cool.
Not good. So that's when I started looking for things, and I came across Code Red and signed up for a challenge. Since then, I've lost 50 pounds, and I have so many people, like my mom sends me a message. I saw you on the show. You looked fabulous as usual. And I mean,
Good job,
I'm also
Mama.
wearing a shirt that my kids can wear, which I've never been able to do that. So that's just awesome. But anyway, so back to Cari. So they are just absolutely amazing. They run this fabulous organization with coaches and leaders and a bazillion different Facebook groups. And I believe now every other month there's a challenge. And like, there's a lot of moving parts, y'all, like a lot of moving parts. And Cari's the one who's in charge of keeping them all going, keeping them all organized, and making sure the company is making money. And she makes it look like, seriously, as simple as possible. Like, she makes it effortless, and yet she still has time for all of her chickens and her ducks and her daughter, who she's homeschooling now, and her husband, and his business. So like, seriously, like, if you need Superwoman, you're about to meet her. So here she is, Cari Thompson.
Hello. Oh, Elena, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. You flatter me.
Well, you're easy to flatter. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
you're so amazing. So
Oh,
like,
you're so sweet.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for having me. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here. I appreciate it.
Well, Cari, we are so excited to have you join us. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I personally am very excited to have you share about how you keep all the moving parts running smoothly. Like, I can't seem to figure that out. How do you do it?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think there are a couple things as far as the big takeaways, the big keys is knowing your product, knowing your audience, and really focusing on what you're trying to do. I always describe it like this. You guys all know Cristy Code Red. She's got the mohawk. She's got the big personality. I need her to be the mohawk, and she is out buying new fleets of ships, and I'm at home trying to keep the one cruise ship we have floating. And I think that is the best way to think of it, is right. That I'm making sure that people have fresh towels. I'm making sure that the bananas are cut up and ready to go, and that Mr. Smith in room 2 has his fresh pot of coffee. I'm making sure that everyone shows up for their shift. Whereas Cristy, she's the visionary. She's the one that sees ahead. And I'm just here making sure this ship is floating. You go buy 10 more ships. So I think it's really important to know your role and know exactly where you're supposed to be. If I started trying to buy ships, you guys, I wouldn't be any good to Cristy. I need to stay in my lane and do the job.
Exactly. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So before we kind of get into all these different things, can you tell our audience a little more about how you got started? What do you guys do? Those kinds of things.
Yeah, I would love to. So let me give you a little background on myself. I lost over 100 pounds with the Code Red lifestyle. My background is ICU and open heart nursing and trauma nursing. I did that for about 20 years. I still have a current nurse's license, although I haven't worked at the bedside for a while. So I taught graduate school. I taught undergraduate school. Every nurse watching me right here, you all had 4 jobs. And so in the meanwhile, while all this was happening, Cristy was a professional boxer, and she was great. She was an amazing boxer, but she noticed that she kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier, even though she was in the best shape of her life. And she came to the conclusion that working out has absolutely nothing to do with losing weight. You can work out till Jesus comes back for you, but you're not going to get the weight off. And what about the people in wheelchairs? What about the people that can't?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So she needed a solution, so she came up with the Code Red lifestyle. And she did a great job getting this all together. It started out on the living room floor, packing T-shirts and bags and all this. And then she started to get a little bigger. And she said, would you come on board? I need someone who can handle the medical stuff. And although Cristy does have some of a medical background, she needed somebody who could handle the medical stuff. And trust me, the mohawk is amazing, but she can't do everything. Even though it would seem that she can. So she asked me to come on board, and I said, okay, but I have 3 jobs. So you're going to have to pay me what I make at these 3 nursing jobs.
Uh-huh.
And so she brought me on board. And at first, ladies, she didn't know if she was going to be able to afford my payroll. But,
Yeah.
we have done amazing. We have employees. Cristy is able to employ our family members. And we've just grown. We have, I believe, 61 employees now.
That is phenomenal.
So
I mean, talking about stepping out there and with complete faith and just like, we're just going to do this thing. We'll just see what happens.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Tammy. And it has been such an amazing thing to see the growth, to go from literally me sitting in Alaska, because I am an Army wife. My husband's been active duty for 24 years. And me sitting in Alaska and literally, you guys, taking the envelopes and stuffing them and, getting and then sealing it and putting the sticker on. Yep, that's what I did. So, we went from that to, we have a shipping manager, we have a customer service department. It's been an amazing journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And Tammy is an Army wife too.
Yay! Yeah. Active duty military, 6 years.
That.
You speak my language, girl.
Yes, I understand. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Now, I know I've heard Cristy mention a name, and it's something that we use here at Business and Learning. So I'm kind of curious to know if you use it. Alex Sharfin, do you use the Sharfin cadence?
I'm not as up on the business stuff as Cristy is. She's way more up on it. You know what I mean? She has a lot more. Tell me more.
So it's basically just a system of like meetings and notes and kind of like the way that you do things, looking ahead and then digesting it back to then say, if we want to be here within a year, what do we need to do this quarter, this month, this week in order to get to it? So,
yes, we do that.
Okay, so you kind of do it without calling it.
Without knowing that you do it.
I didn't know. Y'all, listen, I got 3 college degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in communication arts. I have a bachelor's degree in nursing and a master's degree in nursing. Guys, I believe that I did not say business for any of those. So it's quite the learning curve for the girl who can keep you alive if you need me to understand what the heck is an OKR. Like,
right.
OKR a medication that I give someone and they're in VTAC? I don't know about that. This is not something I ever learned. So it's a huge learning curve for me. And at first I felt very lost, but so there are things people will bring up. Well, the such and such method. I'm like, oh, Moses, I don't know if I know about that.
But, you guys are killing it though. I mean,
yeah.
For 2 ladies that have medical degrees or medical knowledge and know-how, that's amazing. I didn't have like this much medical know-how. Enough to be dangerous.
Enough to be dangerous. That's how I'm getting after being away from the bedside. I still get called to do travel nursing. And when the COVID hit, I told Cristy, I can go to New York and work. And she's like, well, what about your job? I'm like, I can answer emails in the evening, and then I was job. You're not going to New York and working as an ICU nurse.
Hold on. Let me just start this IV, and then I'll get back to you.
Yes, let's go ahead and order 5,000 more. I'll be right back. Are you having chest pain? Not gonna work. So yeah. I love my job. It's been an amazing opportunity that Cristy has afforded not only me, but our mother and our other sister. And so, not a lot of people can say that in their careers, they were able to really affect, their entire family like Cristy has been able to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk more about this COO stuff. How do you keep it, like, what actually do you have to do in order to keep everything kind of organized and all the balls up in the air and that kind of thing?
Well, I think that, one of the big things is having things categorized and understanding exactly who needs to be in charge of making sure that those things get done. Now, in the beginning, it was me doing everything, and not to dismiss Cristy's part. She's doing the marketing, she's paying the bills, things like that. I don't have a lot to do with the money, except for the money I do spend for Cristy. I'm good at that. But man, I'll drive across town to save $1 for her. It doesn't matter to me. We were both raised very frugal, and I'm still frugal. So I think it's understanding the components, having a good idea of what the components are, and how to delegate within that arena. And the biggest thing I find, Tammy, is when is it time to grow? When is it time to level up? That has been one of the most interesting and challenging aspects of running Cristy's business, is understanding it's so uncomfortable right now. Everyone's stressed. We can't get the work done. Oh, it must be time to level up. You know, a bad analogy would be when the pants are too tight, it's time to go up a size. I don't like that. We do run a weight loss business, but it's the same kind of idea. Like when you're pregnant with your baby, you know, same idea. You know, oh, my regular clothes aren't fitting me. You know, go to Target and buy yourself a pair of maternity jeans. You know, it's just hard to recognize. Right. Being able to recognize when it's time to level up has been key to managing all the components for me, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, and as you kind of go along and you go, oh, this is not feeling quite right. What do we have to do to make this better?
Right.
And then you can kind of look at that and go, okay, it's time to go up to the next level.
Yeah.
Who do we need to bring in to kind of take care of this? So I can focus on X, Y, and Z and all the other letters of the alphabet.
Right. And not expanding too quickly in some areas.
Right.
You know, I mean, what if I, in the beginning, had said, oh, we need a call center stocked 24/7 with live chat people. And I mean, that's incredibly expensive and cost prohibitive. And we really don't need that. You know, all we needed was a help desk. So it's understanding, again, where expanding makes sense. And when it's time to expand. And I always tell Cristy, it's getting uncomfortable. It's getting uncomfortable. And then we level up and then we go, and the staff goes, and then we're okay for a little while longer. It's a good sign.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, one of our questions, one of our guests that submitted questions earlier, that weren't able to make it tonight. They asked, what tools do you use to keep everything organized? I'm currently using Office spreadsheets, but feel that there should be something better. Is there something that you can recommend?
There's a couple of things. It depends on how big your business is. There's a program called Trello. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Trello, if either of you use Trello. It's like a sticky note system, guys. It's like a big to-do list sticky note system. This may seem really simple. This has helped me keep track of all of our leaders. We have leaders that work for us on our pages. I have about 40 right now. I need some more. I need about 50. So I'm working on getting some more right now. And so that's been a great way to organize. Also, you know, we do have our spreadsheets. We keep track of goals. We keep track of, again, OKRs and all that crazy kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, Cristy and I just did a podcast on it. One of my favorite things is a good old-fashioned piece of paper and pencil. I know that's not very exciting. I know.
I love it. I love that you're old school.
And sticky notes.
Me too.
Right when
I'm a notebook person. Yeah, I love it.
You know, there's something to be said about just that. Also, I work out of my inbox. That seems to help me. But as far as other tools, it just depends on where you are and where your biggest need is. For instance, I used to answer all the customer service emails, and then I got a little bit of help. Well, y'all, I mean, it got crazy fast. And then it was time to go to a desk, the help desk. I'm sure you guys have one.
Yeah.
It says Zoho. It was a miracle. It's just a place where they can submit help, and we can help them in an orderly, organized fashion. Right. And so that also made a big difference and helped everyone stay organized. But as far as specific programs, maybe I'm a little bit old school, but man, I love a list. I do. And that just seems to, you know, kind of have an idea. Also, keeping your org chart up to date is huge. So you know exactly what's going on with that. That makes a big difference too. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this other question that we have is kind of perfect, because you said about how that you have about 40 leaders. I know you have coaches, plus you've got Cristy, your mom, your sister, yourself. What do you use to communicate? Like, how do you communicate? Because, I mean, that's a lot of people going back and a lot of things, you know, you played the game telephone, you know how things can get lost in translation. So how do you guys communicate?
Two main things we use. I'm big on emails, and only because if you did not email it to me and remind me, I'm probably going to forget. And I don't know why that is. I'm a smart girl. I have no idea why, but it absolutely helps me to in email. So if I say to my staff, you're going to have to email that to me. They're like, you're sitting at your desk. I'm like, just email me. Because again, I work out of it is my to-do list. My day is not done till it's cleaned out. I have to have it cleaned out, or at least somewhat cleaned out. The other thing we use a lot of with our staff, because we're not huge yet, is an app called Boxer. Have you guys heard of Boxer?
Oh, I love Boxer. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a staff thread, and I have a customer service thread. And then I also have a thread between kind of our executive team, which is 3 or 4 of us, depending on, we're getting ready to make some changes. Right now it's 3. And then, of course, I have a thread with my mother and my sister. And
of course.
It is the best way for them to hear my heart.
Right.
Really, there's no chance of misinterpreting what I'm saying. If you hear me say, guys, so-and-so is driving today. We need some help in the customer service area. Can somebody jump in there and maybe do an extra hour? Or, oh boy, Betty Smith is really upset, or she's super happy, or we love Boxer. I tell you, it's great. And then you can also send photographs, and people can post a picture and say, what's this? Things like that.
Right.
Those
yeah.
are 2 big things.
That's awesome. I mean, because when you have so many different people, especially when you start growing your team, and like Elena and and we have a VA, and then I have a VA, and just trying to keep everybody communicating together, like what's going on and who's doing what, and Elena gets an idea or I get an idea. Now we use Marco Polo a lot, and I like that.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Because it's all video, pretty much. I mean, you could send static messages and things like that, but that really works well.
Yeah.
For us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love being able to get real-time answers. And it's funny because my mom, who works for us, she heads up our customer service. She'll sometimes say, Cari, can that was my husband that said that, by the way.
I know, I saw. I know, it was Brandon.
I appreciate him watching. That's very sweet of him. My mom will say, Cari, can you send me the recipe for this or that? And then if it's a work thing, she'll write the word work with a downward arrow. That means this is actually work, so you'll need to listen to this right away.
Yes,
and
definitely.
That's exclusively how Cristy and I talk to each other. Also, we have staff meetings in a Zoom room. Love Zoom. I know people have had some complaints.
I love Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But I want to be able to look, everyone's all over the United States, you guys. I want to be able to look at these people that are working so hard for me and say, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing. I see your struggle. I want to look right at their faces. We've cried together. We've laughed together. I want to be able to say to them, we do a Zoom around the room, I call it. So I'll go to each staff and I'll say, Carol, what's going on in your world? How are you? What can we do for you? What can
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll take notes. So those are pretty much the things I use that seem to work pretty well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's a great culture to create too. That it's not just open door, but it really truly is open door, and to make everyone feel comfortable. I know I've worked with different companies before that you're always afraid to speak up. And you were afraid to even say, like, I don't feel well and I cannot work today. It was like, nope, I'm going to be laying in bed dying, but I'm still working. So so I love that you're creating that culture.
Oh, thank you. We try very hard at that at Code Red. We try really hard.
Now, Cari, you guys also have a podcast called Code Red Podcast. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It is awesome. If you have not listened, it is amazing. It's just basically Cristy and I visiting, which, by the way, is hilarious and fun. There are songs. We get fired up about things. I mean, it is so much fun, and it has just skyrocketed the popularity, the just how well we're rated. It is just, and I'm not even just trying to toot our own horn because I am not on it all the time. Cristy has all sorts of guests, but it is literally, Tammy, if I could get just paid to sit and just podcast all day, I'm just telling you, how can I apply for that job? because that's what I want to do. I tell Cristy all the time, can we call me the co-host? And can I do this all day? She's like, no, you still have to answer your email. I tried to get that job, but I didn't.
Right.
I didn't.
Well, when the Mohawk speaks, I guess you got to listen, right?
We talk about mindset issues. We talk about things like the effectiveness of having a list. We talk about things like growing up, how our experiences shaped us. One of our recent ones was be bold in your message. And, even if I don't agree with you, I am impressed by people who are bold in their message.
Yes.
For example, my next door neighbor right over here. She's a wonderful lady. She has some beliefs. They don't line up with mine. But I'm so impressed, you guys, that she believes what she believes so strongly that when she went to the state legislation to legislate for this issue, I was like, how can I help you? I don't even agree with you, but I will pick up your kid from school. I will walk your dog. You know what I mean? So we were talking about be bold in your message. So we have a lot of great podcasts. You guys should totally catch it.
Yeah, definitely.
I have one of my favorites is when you talked about about how you were raised, but it was about how your mom didn't make things about food. So when it was about like a birthday or a holiday celebration, it wasn't centered around food. It was centered around people and memories. And I listened to that right before one of my kids' birthdays because I was super worried. I was like, I really don't want to do a cake because a cake is nothing but sugar. And if I have it in the house, I'm going to want to have it. And so I'm going down this domino thing. And then I listened to that and I'm like, okay, we're just going to do something else. So it didn't need to be about the food. And so I love that messaging.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love that. So speaking of this, I mentioned this earlier about how I started with Code Red, and that was when you were doing the challenge, and they were very spread out. I think you only did 2 a year up to that point.
Yeah, we did 3. It was 3 or 4 a year, but yeah.
Yeah. So now you're doing them all the time. So I know that's a lot more stuff. Legwork, Facebook groups. What kind of, one, how come you decided to do that? And 2, is that one of those things where you're feeling the pressure, you added more team members, you're like, oh, okay, we can breathe.
So we decided to, that's a great question, Elena. We decided to do the rolling Facebook challenges starting last year. And it has been, I think it's overall, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's overall been a positive experience. You're not getting maybe as high of a number in the groups, but each group is getting more attention, more time, and we're still getting really big numbers in these groups, and we're still having thousands of people join every single month. Some people come, over and over and over, which is awesome. We do have a staff member that manages the challenge, Andrea, and she is a phenomenal person anyway, absolutely phenomenal, super organized. Well, let me just tell you, she has this thing down to a science. I don't even worry about it. All of a sudden, one little notification pops up and it says, Andrea has invited you to join the next challenge and be an admin. I'm like, yes, I will. And that's all I stress about. But we do run out of supplies faster, so I'm having to really keep an eye on stock. We have a new shipping manager. He's doing a great job. Our communication's really tight. We have to talk almost every day about shipping levels and what's going on with inventory. That's a big problem. Or not a big problem, it's a challenge. It was in the past, now it's better. But
a good challenge to have, though.
Oh,
yes. Yes, definitely.
But the rolling challenges have been really great for the business. I think overall people have enjoyed them. And, we're just kind of going to see how it goes for a while and then look back at the numbers, crunch them. It's tough with Corona because it kind of is, how does that affect them?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's hard to kind of get good data when something like that happens, but such is life, But it'll be interesting to see kind of what that looks like for us. If you look at a year before, how many total people, and then a year of rolling challenges, how many total people. So we'll have to look at those numbers. But I feel like overall it's been really successful and the response has been very positive. But it is a lot more work because right before the challenge, of course, as you can imagine, y'all, everyone waits. And then 500 people want on, and manually look up their payment in the system. I have staff; they have it down to a science. but somebody has to go through every single person. So
Wow.
And I love that idea, and I think that's something that other business can look at if you're doing, whether it's some type of like a contest or a challenge or a type of thing that you're doing, like even like a coaching thing. If you're doing it maybe just twice a year or quarterly, you can look at what does that look like if I change it to monthly? Because I love what you said about how the groups are smaller. Because when I was in the group, I mean, there was butt ton of people.
Like
oh my God, there's so many people. There were so many people. So I love that with it being smaller, then when people ask questions, that you can give more attention and things like that. So I love that idea. So that's something that other businesses can look at and see, well, if we do it more often, can we do more attention? Because there'd be more opportunities. So it's spread out on people. So I love that idea.
And we tried to add value, by the way, Elena, because it's been a while since you've been in a challenge. Now, Cristy is doing several live Q&As, which, let me tell you something. I've done a lot of online stuff. When you have several thousand people throwing you questions, like, that's no joke. Like, I can talk fast.
That's crazy. Like, how do you keep up with that? Because, I mean, I've watched lives, and it's just scrolling as fast as it can, and you're like, how do they answer the questions?
It's tough. You just have to keep right on it. And I usually have Andrea with me, and she helps me stay on top of it. But then, of course, you always get the person that says, in 1987, my parathyroid was removed, and my serum calcium levels dropped. And I'm wondering if that could have, I'm like, I can't process that in 37 times. I know the answer, but holy cow, I just want, Cari, why do we drink water? You know, I got those questions, you know.
And another thing that's really impressive too with you and Cristy, I mean, I've seen some Cristy's Instagram lives that she does each morning where she just, people ask stuff. And I was really thrown back the one time that I put a question and she said my name, and then she remembered that I have 5 kids and how long I've been on Code Red. I'm like, what the crap?
She's way better than me on that. And that's from someone who's boxed professionally, and y'all know
that.
She's sharp. I mean, she takes her business extremely seriously. It is not a job. It is
awesome.
Life. And I love that about her. I always know that nobody is swinging harder for us than Cristy, ever. And all the employees know that. They all know. When Corona hit, people were very worried. Cristy, do we cut back me? I mean, do we skip our paychecks? What are we going to do? And she hit it so hard and tried to find out, how can we help people during this time? And her game plan was so effective that we didn't have to cut staff. We didn't have to furlough anybody. It was just thank you, Lord. Let me tell you.
That right there is awesome leadership.
Thank you.
Flat out awesome leadership, because not a lot of businesses can say that.
Yeah, she did a great job. I think us being online, it lends itself to surviving this crisis a little bit better. But I was going to tell you also, Elena, I am doing a live Q&A. Cristy's doing live Q&As. Also, Swanwick, I'm just saying, sponsors of tonight's podcast. What's the code again? What's the code, Elena?
The code is BizLearn.
Go to swanwick.com, put in BizLearn for a 10% savings, guys. Everyone is sponsoring the Q&As. I'm giving away things. You helped me give away some stuff last month or the month before. And a couple other people that we have partnered with, they love it. So that people are thrilled to come on, and they're like, pick me. That's most of the things are flipping by. So that people love a giveaway.
They do.
And so right there's business tips. Do a live Q&A and a giveaway.
And I so appreciate you, Elena, partnering with us on that. That has been wonderful. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I love that uniqueness where you were open with your team and you ask your team what's going on, how can I help you? And now you're even open with the entire community saying, what's going on? How can I help you? What questions do you have? So I love that
thank you.
mentality, that community, and just that openness, because it really sets you apart from other companies that you could say are similar or they're in the same type of industry,
Right.
But which the industry is huge, but you're very unique in that you're well, Cristy's sometimes scary on it, but
absolutely. Absolutely scary.
Tammy didn't want Cristy on because she looked at the picture and she's like,
oh my God.
She's wonderful. She's wonderful in an interview. She is.
But I'll tell you.
Well, we will definitely have her on the show. Yeah. Definitely.
But exactly. But the thing is, though, it is. I mean, she's done tough love with me. I know she's done tough love with you. She even talked about the fact that she's done tough love with you and getting on you. And I love that it's while it is a kick in the butt, it's not one where you feel little afterwards. No. You don't feel demeaned. You don't feel like worse about yourself. You feel better. It's a building up.
Right.
And I love that you're doing that. So it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I think that the message of Code Red, Cristy said it to me once, and I've carried it with me. And I said it to my staff just the other day because we're getting ready to make some pretty big structural changes in the next couple of weeks.
Good.
And I said to them, Cristy said to me, the message of Code Red, it's not bigger than you. It's not bigger than me. It's not bigger than anybody. I mean, we're not bigger. Let me try that again. Back up. Can somebody talk? You're not bigger than the message. That's what we're trying to say.
Right.
The message is bigger than me, than Cristy, than any of our staff, than any of our coaches. And that's what it is that when people come to us, we don't judge and we love, but it's usually when they're at rock bottom and they're like you were saying, when's the baby due? Come on, who is that insensitive? But they've come to a point where it's time for a change and they are ready to change. It's not just, well, I'll try this for a month. They're ready. And the message is, we accept you, we love you, we push you to change, and we lovingly kick your hiney towards the right place. But I find, Elena, most people like you, when they're ready, they're ready. You might not
absolutely
have to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So switching gears just a little bit, you and your sister have been very open about your faith. Mm-hmm. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Sure. Cristy and I and Laura, our sister Laura, we were raised in a small Idaho town. We have grown up in church, and a relationship with God was always a very important part of that. It was definitely mirrored in my parents, how they treated each other, how they treated other people, how even when times were tough, that they put their relationship with God first. So there was never a question of them loving us or them caring about us or what was behind our family values and our faith. And so that has just been a part of my life. A lot of people have these stories like, I was living on the streets, I was down and out, and then God saved me. And I always say, when I was little, I would say to Mom, I don't have a story like that. And she would say, yeah, but Cari, you've always known God. And I thought, that's an interesting testimony too. It's not as exciting as the other ones, but
right. Yeah.
There's never been a time in my life when I haven't had a relationship with the Lord. And so we were raised pretty Pentecostal, y'all. That's pretty out there for people that don't know. The classic. And I'll tell you, there's probably nothing that has happened in a church that I haven't seen. You can't tell I walked in. I've seen it all. I have fallen asleep on the pew as a little girl watching people sing and dance. And so, we grew up very charismatic Christians. So I believe that as I've grown older, of course, I feel like my relationship with God has been still a very sweet part of my life. So part of what I do, although I don't constantly, Jesus saves posters and all that, right, I just try to let the way that I live my life be the testimony. I think that's really what you have to do. It's just like weight loss. You can't force people to be different or to lose weight. You just let your own example be the example. Just walk the walk.
Right. Like I'm in the process of writing a book, as everybody here knows, because Elena called me out on it. Yes. And one of the things that a mentor of mine has said to me is show, don't tell. So if you're showing your relationship and you're showing how nutrition can help you reach your fitness goals, that's going to be better than for you to say, you need to do this and these are the reasons why. But if you say, this is where I was and this is where I am today and this is how I got there, people are going to be much more likely to go, you know what, I believe her and I want to do that too. That's awesome.
That's an excellent point, Tammy. And inadvertently on my IG stories, one day I started singing, I don't even know what it was, on a hill far away, who knows. And then it turned into this thing where people were sending in requests, old hymns. And of course, I try to go I was born in the 70s. You guys are a lot younger than me.
No, I was born in the 70s.
Yeah, well, but I wasn't the 70 year I was born in, Terry. I'm just saying. So anyway, so I pull out as old school as I can think of. Like, I'm talking like Rock of Ages. Like, I'm pulling out the old stuff. And people have really enjoyed that. And for some reason, on a level that I'd never, ever realized, that connects people to me. And I just thought, at first I'd be like, really? And people were like, every morning I join you to listen to whatever you're going to sing and to watch you let your chickens and ducks out. And
I love that.
It's become a thing. I'm just a girl from Idaho. I'm not special. I'm not different. I'm just a person like you guys, but they love it. So it's become quite the little following, let me tell you. When my dog got out a couple months ago and a dog killed almost all of my animals, I stood there with my phone and I cried, and it was horrific. And the next morning I went out to let out the remaining chickens, and I sang an old hymn that talks about God of the valley, he's God of the hills, he's God of the good times and even the bad times, and it was like, and people just were like, thank you, because you know what? People can tell when you're not authentic. They can,
absolutely.
They can sniff it out. Let me tell you. And so I just try to be real. I just try to be myself and be real.
Well, we love you for it.
Thank you.
Yes, and there's a lot of people here that love you. We've got Gwen, who's so excited.
I love Gwen.
Luann, she says,
I love Luann too.
We also, of course, we've got your husband.
Yay, Brandon!
He has to love me. He better love me.
He's got no choice.
He's tougher than me now.
Yep, and also Emily, she love you, Cari.
Oh.
Well, this is the portion of the show that we call rapid fire. So we're just going to ask you some quick questions. First thing that pops in your head, just say it, okay?
Marshmallows. Wait, you hadn't asked anything. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If you could be a member of any TV sitcom family, which one would it be?
Seinfeld. Come on.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to ask you a hard question here.
No.
Who is your favorite duck or chicken? Who is your favorite?
My favorite chicken down there?
Yes, your favorite.
Oh my gosh. Can I pick Gus and Gertie, my geese? Okay.
Gus and Gertie.
Gus and Gertie are my favorite animals currently, but I really like Rooster Cogburn. Like, he has the coolest personality, and he's just so little, and he tries so hard to be amorous with all the big chicks, but he doesn't quite reach them. So he gets on top of them and he tries to act ridiculous, and you're like, Rooster Cogburn, you're little, but you're mighty. I love him. That's appropriate. So sorry for the younger viewers.
That's okay. So I know that you and your husband tour breweries, which that sounds like so much fun.
Distilleries. Come on.
Distilleries. Sorry. Distilleries.
Bourbon.
My apologies. I was informed incorrectly. So what is your favorite?
My favorite bourbon?
Yeah, I like bourbon's good.
My husband, get him in here. I'm not a big drinker because, but I enjoy the science and the history behind bourbon. In fact, there is a wonderful documentary out called Neat, NEAT. It's amazing. Talks about Kentucky bourbon history. But I would have to say I really do like Buffalo Trace. If I had to pick one, I love the distillery. I love the history, and the bourbon's good. Buffalo Trace.
He just mentioned it. So for those of you that are not in here watching,
5 points.
Brandon just said Buffalo Trace. Awesome job, Brandon.
Oh,
Okay,
so
I may stay married tonight. I got the question right.
You got it right. Alrighty, the newlywed game. All right. Your favorite meal from a local restaurant. So I know you guys travel, so if it's not necessarily one in your hometown, but it cannot be a
code
chain.
red or non-code red meal.
Whatever.
Whatever your favorite meal is.
I'm a big Mexican food fan. However, I have to be very careful because a lot of those things it has to be a once in a while, and it has to be just very, very occasionally. I love cheese enchiladas and beans. Please hold the rice. Just give me the beans. But it is not often. It has to be a really rare thing. But if I were doing something that is legal on Code Red, definitely love. I know it's not a local restaurant, but I love Texas Roadhouse chicken Caesar salad.
There you go.
I know.
All right. So if you guys are on Code Red, chicken Caesar salad, hold the croutons.
Well, the croutons is right.
Okay, so you talked about singing. Is there a favorite song that you love to sing?
Oh my gosh. I do like the old hymns. That is, they speak to my soul on some level.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just because I was raised in it, but I'll never forget. My dad was the worship leader at our church, and he played the guitar. And he would just be so in that moment, and he would just strum the guitar and sing something out. And sometimes when I'm singing, I'll imagine him doing that, and it just touches my heart. But I don't know if I could pick. I don't know if I could pick just one song. I'm trying to think. Gosh darn. I love the old hymn that goes, "What a day that will be, when my Jesus I will see. When I look upon his face, the one that saved me by his grace. And he takes me by the hand and leads me to the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be." And I used to go visit
Beautiful,
and I used to sit at her bedside, and she would say, and she was breathing real heavy, and she would say, "Cari, can you sing 'Oh, What a Day It Will Be'?" And she's since passed, and I used to sing that to her. And so that song always brings back those memories of singing at her bedside. So
that's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
Stop
So
it!
Okay, get more.
All right. We talked about your podcast that you're co-host on. Do you happen to have a favorite podcast other than your own?
Yeah, I really do. I like the Doctor's Pharmacy with Dr. Mark Hyman. I love the Broken Brain podcast with Drew Perowit.
Oh,
that's an excellent one. Even though I don't agree with everything she does, I enjoy JJ Virgin's podcast. She just not everything is Code Red, but she's amazing, and she has a lot of great content. And I'm not really a New York Times person, but they have a podcast just because the political views are a little different than mine. They have a podcast that's excellent, and they call it The Daily. And it's just really interesting to kind of get like what's going on with Corona, what's going on with the situation that you talked about, with Floyd and all these things. It's been very interesting. Mm-hmm. So I love podcasting. I'll put my headphones on. My husband will say, "Can I just," and I'll be like, "Let me pause it.
1 sec."
Something. He knows I'm telling the truth.
Well, Cari, this has been absolutely amazing. I absolutely love you. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We truly appreciate it.
It's such an honor to be a part of what you guys are doing, and I just appreciate you both, and thank you for honoring me and letting me come. It means a lot. So.
Oh, absolutely. We have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yay! Thank you. Have a good night,
Yes.
you guys.
You too. You too. Oh, I love her.
Awesome. That was so much fun. So
Yeah.
that's we actually kind of went way over time tonight, but that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
That's what happens when you have awesomeness in the room.
Yes. So thank you everyone for joining us here on the Business and Learning Show. We would like to thank Cari for coming on, giving us her insight, tips, and of course her time today. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please let us know. Drop us a comment or send us an email at support@businessandlearning.com. And we will be back next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Yes. And don't forget, you can go to businessandlearning.com/Swannies and use BizLearn at the checkout to save 10% on your night or day Swannies to help you with your sleep and productivity in your business.
All right. You guys have a great week. Stay safe and see you next week.
We'll see ya.